Well, VB was always looking for ways to give voice to people who felt unheard. And the writing workshops that had been done through VB and the performance workshops that had been done through VB had always included this notion that we would give space and audience to people who normally would not get it. So when Writing for Self-Discovery came about, the idea was then to give, in particular the educators who were having to deal with and work with these children, the possibility of being heard.
Art classes, physical education, and teachers who have given years of service are being swept out of schools in exchange for modernizing for future conflicts.
For the next 3 to 4 years, teachers came and went, always saying the same thing: this is unsustainable. I developed many close friends. I go to their weddings now. They always seem happy and quite successful doing something more sustainable.
And I think one of the turning points in my life was I organized the Great Lunch Boycott of 2001.
The way you should see me through this subtle storm.
We realized very quickly as we were trying to promote the workshop that this was not something administrators were comfortable with. However, once we began using it in the workshop, teachers were embracing this. And as we did surveys to try and assess how the workshop was impacting teachers, one of the questions we'd asked the participants is why, all of them having registered to do writing, why did they feel that the psychology component was so important? And what their response was that the psychology component allowed them to work with the language of trauma. And truly, all of us are traumatized at one level or the other. And I think educators in particular, because they're working with individuals who are going through some of the traumas they have gone through during their childhood, there's no way of escaping it. You're faced with having to deal with your own baggage, in a way, and because you're working it through with the children. So again, seeking help and seeking professional help, and being allowed to seek professional help is something that I think the workshop allowed for them to do. The idea of talking about memories and childhood events became something possible because we had a professional individual, a professional psychotherapist who was able to handle and contain the emotional sort of energy that arose from those stories. And they're not psychotherapy groups, they're not group therapy. They are a place where we can sort of explore, and the safety that comes about from exploring those issues. And the presence of the psychotherapist also allowed for individuals whose memories or trauma were bigger than the workshop could handle to then privately approach the psychotherapist for advice or help in trying to figure out what they were going to do with it.
Every one of us needs to be attended to, and we need to pay attention to the kids and build them up and lift them up and just do that. Smile and be there.
I have seen this wretched condition before manifest in numerous new high school students who know the street well, and not enough about how to succeed in the real world.
You know, how many kids do we affect? Because we have affected one educator who's now more committed, more empathetic, and more willing to work through some of the issues the kids bring up, and much more prepared to do so. I've had some of the teachers mention the fact that if this should ever stop, that they would find a way to meet in somebody's house. The future, I would, if one could imagine it, each then group from each school, that's if there's enough of them, would actually find ways to develop their own programs. So VB can act as a support system without necessarily having to run the show.